Grote, you got an opportunity to talk with Ryan Poles today?
Yeah, we did. It was a little strange just because it was semi off the record. No cameras allowed, not allowed to play any audio. Obviously, they can't use the video. So what I can do, though, is paraphrase and quote some of the things that Ryan Poles said that I thought were the most important things out here at Halas Hall today. And I will start, guys, with the new guy, with Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, the Bears' new defensive end, acquired from Cleveland in a trade. First thing to Ryan Poles, why him? That was one of my questions. Poles said his athleticism, his traits, his ability to rush and play the run is something that Ryan Poles said. The comp that he made for Shoyinka is Dominique Robinson as it pertains to the Bears, but with more traits. And if you don't understand what that means, like Dominique Robinson, probably pound for pound, one of the best athletes in that Bears locker room, even if it hasn't added up to production on the field. Dominique Robinson, injured right now, has been getting better. Did Ryan Poles inquire about some of the big boys, the names we all know, like Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson? Poles said that he made calls around the league, checked up on everybody you'd imagine, as he put it, and also said that there are a lot of deals that we could have made, but we're very cognizant, that's my word, cognizant of the impact now and into the future, which adds into this part of it. He was asked about the importance of keeping your prime draft picks and whether or not that factored into this. Ryan Poles said that was part of their conversation, that they want to build this team through to the draft. And then lastly, at least what I have in summary here is, did they take into account whether they're actually one player away? Like, would Max Crosby really make the difference between the Bears, make a difference for the Bears this year? And he said that taking that equation into account was a factor. Plus, he said that the new head coach is a factor, that they have their own timeline, the coaching staff, that is, in perfecting their schemes. So those are some of the highlights that I took away from it. And I would say, gentlemen, the overriding theme of why the Bears didn't do more at this deadline was because they are protecting their future. And they don't know what this year is. I mean, they're being realistic. I think that we all look at them. They're 5-3. Yes, the Bears are in the playoff picture right now. But I don't know that they know, and I certainly don't know whether or not this actually is a team that is worthy of being in the playoffs and winning playoff games.
That's great stuff, Mark Grote. First off, it's good that Poles is talking. It's weird that nobody was able to record it. It's kind of an odd choice, but it is what it is.
Oh, Spiegel, I recorded it. It's the secret audio that only I can listen to. I have, for once in my career, I have the secret audio that nobody else must listen to. Do you understand that, Spiegel?
Yeah, I do. It's like the White Album mixed with Jay-Z's Black Album back in the day, Lawrence, right?
I believe it's called the Gray Album.
I believe it is called the Gray Album.
I do remember, like, when I was covering the team every day, I've been through a couple general managers doing something similar. Usually it was with Jerry Angelo. It was the middle of the season, like Poles is doing, and usually on the road. Like, the idea is that the beat guys that were on the road
got rewarded.
Yeah, and you would sit down. I remember us doing it in Miami one year.
Interesting.
And we could record it and we could play it back and all that good stuff. And Phil Emery did similar, where it was, you do it halfway through. I'm not sure why this wasn't on camera or on tape. Like, that's interesting choice for them to make, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But that's good stuff about the reasoning and the thought process around the deadline, which obviously came and went yesterday. I personally applaud the self-assessment to look at themselves and say, we're not quite ready for the big boy, buyer moves. I think that makes sense in part because, as he referenced, you got to listen to your coaches now, and they're not out scouting the rest of the league like you. Like, I'd rather have the coaches involved in an assessment of what kind of talent to add in the offseason than have the GM making a play to empower the coaches at this point.
Yeah, Spiegel, and he made a point, another overriding theme I would say throughout the session with Ryan Poles is, making a point of this is, he worked very closely with the coaching staff and Ben Johnson. That was the name that he said. And I think that input was, they probably all put their heads together. And I think part of it is they don't want to, hurt themselves for doing things that they might want to do next year. And this is what I have always said, like throughout this year, when people have asked about what the Bears might do at the trade deadline, what they did in the offseason, I have contended, and I think maybe that was confirmed today, that the bigger moves will be made next year, and they're realistic and that they're assessing this, and that they didn't say this. These are my words, not theirs. But I don't know if they necessarily expected to win this year. I don't know if they expected to be where they are. They're realistic too. They're going to say their goal is to get to the Super Bowl. But honestly, I think, and again, my opinion, if they're being honest about this year, it's about developing, finding out who is one of them for this regime, getting Caleb Williams to a certain point, sorting out the team, and not making big moves because you don't know what this roster is really like or what this team really is through 8 games of the season. And this is where teams start to sort themselves out a little bit more because we are 8 games into the season. But I just think, and I'm giving the Bears credit, that they're being realistic about this year. And maybe it turns out to be a 2018 revelation. Maybe it's 2001 overall again. But we know, guys, that even in those years, the next years were bad. And the playoffs in both of those years that I just gave as examples were losses in the playoffs, and then the next year was bad and it wasn't sustainable. So there is a broad view of this season that is going on with the Bears right now.
Trying to figure out exactly what this season is to them, I think, is interesting. And as you point out, Grote, and the other part for me is there's still a lot of work that they should know that they have to do, considering how this past offseason went. Like you had one draft pick that's gone for the season. You have another draft pick that's kind of in limbo because you drafted him thinking he might be able to play one position, and you already have a guy that you love at right tackle. So getting Ozzie Trapillo on the field, and they've done a great job over the last couple of weeks using him as the extra tackle, using him as an H-back, and I think that he's done a great job. But with the lack of pass rush, they have to go find that. They probably got to find another defensive tackle. They might have to find safety help. So I'm okay with them not like going for it in the trade deadline and saying, well, let's go get this and get that, because there's so many different places where they might have to go in free agency in the draft that I would understand them looking at their team realistically. Like, I'm also good with it being a surprise, Grote. Like, I'm okay with the idea that you end up in a year where maybe you do win 10 games and you get into the playoffs and everyone gets to experience that. I'm good with them being like, all right, let's kind of go. It's like a half measure. And ordinarily when we talk about half measures, where we're speaking in the pejorative, but I'm actually okay with this half measure. And I think the JTS is actually going to help them.
I actually think I trust a synthesized viewpoint in terms of acquisition in the offseason more than I trust Ryan Poles right now at the deadline. Like, I trust a groupthink that they will come to for whatever they need more than Ryan Poles right now on the deadline.
And I get what you're saying, Spiegel, and I think that part of why Ben Johnson was paid all that he was, obviously because he was the hot coaching candidate. But the assumption is that, and I always compare it to Craig Counsell, like Craig Counsell, Ben Johnson will have more input than the average person who does that job that is a head coach in the NFL. And Ryan Poles, like I said, he was offering that to us today, making a point of it, saying how closely he worked with Ben Johnson, and essentially what a pleasure it was to work with Ben Johnson throughout this. Lawrence, you just mentioned JTS. And if people are not in the know, if you're not in the club yet, that is Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. And I did ask him, I did say, how do you say your name? And he said that, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. That is the way you say his name. And here is what he sounds like as a Chicago Bear.
It's an amazing opportunity. Go out and play amazing defense with some of these dudes on this defense. We all trying to get to that next game. A lot in front of us, but it's one game at a time right now. And I'm trying to just find my identity with this team and fit in where I can.
Do you think you're still trying to find your identity as an NFL player? And what do you think, what has kept you from breaking out in your last couple of stops?
Just got to be consistent with it. It's a grind. You got to be consistent with it, and just got to be persistent. You can't give up. You can't do nothing. You got to just keep going. You can't get down.
Was it frustrating to not get the playing time you would have wanted in your last stop, and why do you think that was?
Yeah, you always want to play, but it's part of the game. You know, you got to just follow the plan that you have in place, and just try to just do what you can with the opportunity. So it happens. I'm blessed to be here, and I'm excited to be a Bear.
What excites you about joining a unit that's just been able to take the ball away at the rate that this team has?
That's what defense is all about, man. That should get you. You feel that? That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about right there.
Man, makes
Shout
me
out
smile.
to Jory Perry's asking that question, and JTS, for people who don't know, was pumping his chest when he was asked that question about the turnovers.
I mean, it makes me smile because, like, the dude is, he's excited about a new opportunity, and he's clearly passionate about it. And I also didn't hear any resentment of, like, the other places, like, oh, man, they screwed me over. Like, I heard a guy who's just like, well, that's just the way it goes. And Lawrence, you've heard good stuff about his character,
Yeah,
right? From people who've covered the league and covered him.
Yeah, our friend Carmen Vitale was telling me that he's just a really good person. I feel like he can end up being a core special teams player, and they can use him rotationally. And he's got ability, man. Like, he's got ability to drop into coverage occasionally and be helpful. Very athletic dude. Now it's just a matter of figuring out the best ways to use what he can do. I think it's a low risk, high reward. You didn't really give up much to try this out. And I'm not expecting him to come in and put up crazy numbers. I'm just expecting him to be someone that they can go to in their rotation and shake things up a little bit because he's so athletic. Now, the thing is, he falls in love with the bull rush, and I haven't watched enough tape to figure out, because he hadn't been playing a ton in Cleveland, if he has figured out a counter to go with that. But his bull rush is actually pretty strong. So I'm looking forward to seeing that athleticism on display.
Right, and he's 26. This is for people who don't know, this is a former first-round pick, so he has something that a lot of GMs and scouts like. Like, they all know that this guy has the traits, and it's just the ability that people are looking for out of Shoyinka at this point. So, and then just like the need for him, obviously, with the injuries that they have. I mean, that's the big huge part of this. But Ryan Poles also said, like, back to our super secret conversation that you guys will never, ever, ever hear. He said that he thinks part of why that he didn't play much in Cleveland was obviously you have a Hall of Famer ahead of everybody there in Myles Garrett, and then there's a couple of homegrown guys that they were developing too. At least that's Ryan Poles' theory on why he barely cracked the lineup while he was in Cleveland. But back to your point too, Lawrence, and I saw Carmen Vitale out here today, so she was telling us too, he really is. I mean, he's very good dude. Like, after, like, this is an extreme rarity, but right after we finished with him, he was shaking our hands and asking us our names. So that's the kind of dude he is. But I know the people are listening like, who cares? Can he get to the quarterback? And I understand.
How many bears did you give him for that? One bear?
Oh, that's a great point. Now, he's not from here. He went to college with Kyler Gordon. I love Kyler Gordon. So, you know what? I'm going to start him with 4 Bears, and let's see where we can go. Let's see, just for being nice. He's done nothing. He's not from here. So 4 Bears is where I land with him. It is a good baseline. I'll try to talk to him as time goes on, and I will explain to him what is at stake here, and it's 6 more Bears.
Thanks, Grote. What else you got?
Got it. Ben Johnson, assessing. We're at that point where reporters like to ask things at the halfway point. It's very confusing in a 17-game schedule where the halfway point is, but we'll call it halfway through. 8 games. Here's Ben Johnson assessing Caleb Williams' play through 8 games.
Well, I mean, the number one thing is for us to win games, and so we've done that 5 times so far. That's who we are as a team. I do think he's getting better every week. There's ups and there's downs, and some weeks are better than others, which we knew. But he's a lot better place now with his process than he was to start the season. The week isn't necessarily smooth sailing always, but I think that's to be expected with year one in a new system. So he's learning and he's spent a lot of time at it. So I'm very pleased with his approach, and I think we've got the right group of guys around him to help support him. And so I think we're going to continue to see him take off here second half of the season.
Good, honest assessment of Caleb with a spin towards the positive. Lawrence, what do you think?
I love it. I mean, I think that Ben has been a really good barometer for Caleb, not just because it's his offense, but he hasn't tried to lie to anybody about where things stand with Caleb. So I think that you can what I like about another thing that I've come to like about Ben is that he's establishing himself as someone that's mostly going to tell the truth about things, that he's not just kind of up here snowing you and trying to explain everything is great and everything is wonderful. He's really good at I think, level-headed assessments and sharing those level-headed assessments with people who care about the Bears.
Most coaches, and it feels like, and definitely his predecessors, and this is not necessarily a critique of them, they will tell you all the great things that their players do. They will tell you all the good things. How many times did we hear about Justin Fields and Mitch Trubisky about how they were the first one in and the last one out? It was always that generalization. I heard Ben Johnson saying, yes, he's better now than he was at the beginning of the year. And I could say as a reporter, he is better than he was last year. But I also heard Ben Johnson saying what I think, and that's the ups and downs are real. Some weeks are better than others. That's exactly what it is for Caleb Williams right now.
He's a lot better place now.
No, he's alive too. Just like Tucker Kraft. He's alive.
In a better place.
He's alive.
They're both alive.
What about Adam Harris? Is Adam Harris dead? I heard something.
No.
I heard something about our old friend Adam.
No.
Who are all these people that have died through the years?
Just left the station. That's all.
No, they're
They're
all doing. Adam Harris is doing great. His life is fantastic.
Absolutely.
I went to Blink 182 with Adam
What's
Harris.
up, Pete?
Oh, Pete.
All right,
It's Pete in Baltimore. What's up, Pete?
Producer told me about Harrison and my condolences. I don't even know what happened, but he told me that he passed. So my condolences. I always appreciated him and liked him.
Did who passed?
Harrison,
Harrison.
the producer,
Harrison.
the whole producer.
Adam Harris? He's working the morning show.
Oh, and he told me last week that he had passed. I said, where's Harrison? He said he passed away or something like that. Okay, well, I'm happy to hear that.
He's in a better place.
I'm sure his family's happy. I mean, that's great. Glad he's alive.
He's a lot better place now.
Tucker is in a better place.
They're all alive. All of them. We need to take a break. We got to supersize this Bears hit with Grote. We'll have more on the other side next here on The Score. Grote, what else do you have to add to your Bears hit? 2 words.
We have some more. They have earned the 2 words. That is for sure. Caleb Williams spoke today, and we always do this when but teams are playing well, if a quarterback is playing well, as Caleb Williams did, or at least had some terrific moments against Cincinnati, we say, well, what about the competition? What about the fact that Cincinnati has a horrible defense? Baltimore, New Orleans, a lot of these teams, Vegas, that the Bears have played, have had bad defenses, and you have better competition coming up. So Caleb was asked about that notion that he has racked up some big numbers against bad defenses.
The NFL is the NFL. The guys out there are all ballers that are out there starting. And so it's there's no game necessarily where you're like, yeah, there's stats that y'all can go off, but when you go out there and you play versus those guys that, those guys are playing for their life. Those guys are playing for, their job and their team and, their brothers. And so there's no slouch game. There's no any of that. We approach each game with the same mindset. And all these games build confidence. All the games that we've won, all the games that we've lost, just being able to find ways, especially in the losses, find ways to, find solutions to the issues that kind of helped us to lose. And then, when we win, keeping those solutions and fine-tuning them to keep going.
Hey, Grote, what was Caleb's vibe in terms of the ups and downs of his season, and any other admissions as to things he still needs to work on in the face of this wonderful success this week? I'm always interested in that.
Yeah, he wasn't as critical of himself this week as he had been in last week's, and talking about the accuracy stuff still pops up where he is imperfect. The throwing on the run, he has been self-critical of that as well. Did not go over the top critiquing himself today, but you just look at the schedule, like the Giants, they have an excellent defensive front, so that could be an effect. Then they're at Minnesota, home against Pittsburgh, at Philadelphia, at Green Bay. So this little part of the schedule here right now is going to tell a lot for this Bears season and where they're actually going and what Caleb has up against some sturdier defenses.
So in watching the end of the game, there was a lot to enjoy. You see a smiling, screaming Caleb Williams. Like, that was a part of what was going on. You see guys hugging on the sidelines. They can't believe that they won. And then out of the corner of your eye, I was like, hey, did one of the Bears just do a cartwheel? Was that Darnell Wright? And how, after an hour of playing football, of game time, 3 hours in real time, does a man that large still have enough juice to go out there and do a cartwheel?
Right. I'll get to that here in a second, but just to add to what you're talking about, the celebration on the sideline, Lawrence, too, we found out DeAndre Swift too was asked, like, hey man, you're hurt, like you probably wanted to go crazy and hold back. He's like, no man, I was running with everybody else down the sideline. But Ben Johnson, because you never know, like, what's the coach going to say about an offense, a 300-pound offensive lineman doing a cartwheel? Maybe that's a little bit dangerous. Maybe he shouldn't be doing that. So Ben Johnson was asked, did you see Darnell Wright do the cartwheel? And then he's going to get into some serious breakdown of Darnell Wright as well. Here's Ben Johnson.
I did. I thought that was pretty awesome. Yeah. Hey, I call him the unicorn for a reason. He does some things that are pretty extraordinary. So he's playing really good football right now. It's good to see excitement like that. I thought the whole crew, they were super fired up. He's a tough guy. I think the biggest thing to me is he's been a very consistent player since the season started. You knew what the talent was going to be. I saw it coming out of Tennessee. I loved the player coming out of Tennessee myself. You just wondered, hey, is he going to be able to put it all together? And I feel like Coach Rochar and Kyle Devan and those guys have done a really good job of helping him out. I think Jonah Jackson being next to him, Joe Tooney being in that room, I think that's gone a long way for him. I don't want to say learning how to be a pro. He's been in this league now for a minute, and so he knows what that looks like. But he comes to work every single day, and he knows when to crack a joke and smile, and yet he can snap it back in and be serious in a hurry too, which I think it's the balance that we want all of our guys to have. So I'm just really proud of how consistent he's been from the start of the season up until this point.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal because of the talent level of the player, because he has been inconsistent for a couple of years. And so the fact that Ben says consistent is a big deal, because Ben is a king of the run game and had Penei Sewell in Detroit, and you dream of Darnell Wright being able to be your version of that. And I'm not saying he's that yet, but that's what you dream of. And Lawrence, also because of where he was drafted and where he, who was
the
taking...
choice that was made to draft
Yeah.
Darnell Wright instead of Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
And Jalen's got a pretty big head start on him. And it'll be hard to kind of quantify whether or not Darnell ends up being worth it if you judge it on that scale. But when you look at his athleticism, that's something that jumps off the tape. Like, you can see it. And I know that they were super excited about their athletic score on him and him doing the wide receiver workout and that being one of the things that kind of tipped it over. But he is exactly the type of guy that you want in this system, because this system is about them getting out and running. And then you add in he's got some nasty. And then you add in how crazy athletic he is. And you go, okay, that's a position that I don't have to worry about, and I can go about building the rest of the line.
I wouldn't have said that he's got a chance to catch Jalen Carter in terms of quality of early career, like on the rookie contract, but it could be very interesting to see what happens. I mean, Jalen Carter already helped the Eagles win a Super Bowl.
It's going to be difficult. I mean, he's already helped them win a Super Bowl. He's already been an All-Pro a couple. Like that's. But and judging the two positions against each other is really difficult too.
But what if you've got a 10, 12-year career with, 4 or 5 trips to the Pro Bowl and you're a stalwart of some real good teams, that could even itself out after a while, potentially.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, and here's one thing I'll add to that. Like, they have been, like, back to our point of Ben Johnson not blowing smoke, that, to compliment him is real. And it's also real because at the beginning of the season in training camp, they were really challenging Darnell Wright. I don't know if you guys remember, but like Dan Roshar, like talking about how like he's good sometimes and some his good is good, but his bad is bad. Like, and I am paraphrasing, and Ben Johnson, echoed that in different words. So they were pushing this guy. They weren't glowing about him early, and now they are. So it feels real when you hear it in those words.
Yeah, I think they should make his good better and make his better best, in my opinion.
Grote, did you hear us get the backstory on that?
I did hear that. Who was? It was a
Billy Williams.
It was Billy Williams. Yes, I couldn't believe that. I turned it on and I heard the voice. I'm like, that sounds like Billy Williams right there. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like it's been stolen and not properly credited to Billy?
No, we're just joking around on that. But we are wondering if Ben got his Cubs fandom from his dad, and if his dad maybe saw that with Billy Williams, and that's where he got it, and then it's transposed to Ben, and he uses it.
It's like a folk song that exists in communities for decades concurrently and travels by word of mouth, and now it's we're figuring out where it comes from.
Okay, all right. Well, I will when I get my opportunity to ask Ben Johnson about that, then I will. I love that you guys figured that out. That
and let him know. Like it's. Tanny, can you play it for Grote just so he has when he goes and talks to Ben about it? Because it is verbatim, Grote. Like, it isn't just like these things are similar. It's absolutely verbatim from Sweet Swinging Billy Williams.
Good, better, best. Never let it rest until the good is better and the better is best. I knew the words meant nothing as a youngster, but year after year, they would surface and become more and more pronounced as my career unfolded.
And he got that from the principal at his school.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
And then he said, which was weird at the time. He said, "Bears on 3," which was just so weird.
And he gave out game balls.
Yeah,
it was so weird.
It's very.
He gave Dennis Allen a game ball.
It's strange. It's like Tupac songs, where it's like, wait, why is he talking in the present tense when he's been gone for a while?
What if I called Billy and be like, hey, Mark Grote here. I don't know if you know I do this little Bears thing where I hand out Bears. That's a 10 Bears performance right there that you just gave.
We would love it if you called Billy.
Yeah, no, Billy thinks my name is Craig.
I know he does.
Good morning, Bruce and Craig.
Good job.
It's Matt.
And,
It's Matt.
and see, he was foreshadowing then, too. Yeah, here comes
I'll tell
Craig
you-
Counsell to be the manager of the Cubs.
The best person at messing up my name, and he did it with confidence. He goes, "I love this." Was Kenny Williams. He used to call me Mike. Well, Mike, I think what we're doing. He would do it multiple times. I was like, "Okay, that's okay." I kind of always wanted to be a Mike. You
Just
know?
go with
So-
it. It's
Yeah,
like when
I got-
Tom Hamilton calls you Max 7 times.
Point
in an
out the
interview. You don't
mic.
correct him.
Point out the mic. 53 is the mic.
I got one more Darnell Wright. This might be like low key because there's so much big stuff ahead of Darnell Wright, but I loved what Darnell Wright said about the Ben Johnson effect and how he has, I don't know what the right word is, maybe motivated, made football more interesting for Darnell Wright. Listen to this, guys.
I feel like I have a actual role, I say, as approaching games. I think he does a good job. I don't know if he purposely does it or not, but he makes us feel like, offensive line, you don't score touchdowns, but you do play pivotal roles. And I think he does a good job, making it clear to you, even though more so, obviously, you have to do your job, but like you are the pivotal piece of this play. And it kind of just, like, I'm just a dog. I just need a mission. You know what I'm saying? I just need an assignment. And so he does a good job doing that.
Wow, that's interesting. Good stuff, Grote. Good grab, good choice. Emotional investment for Darnell Wright, huh?
No doubt, no doubt. And like I said, there was so much good stuff today, but obviously I'd sent in all the audio, so there's stuff to pick through probably for the next couple of days. I got a whole bunch of things to tell you guys right here at the end. I know you guys got to bounce here in a second, but
it's your
we
world.
okay? We okay? Okay. Because I got some great nuggets here. Plus, I want to fire through the injury report. A lot of players missing from the practice today, including Kevin Byard, back and ankle, TJ Edwards, hand and hammy. Rome Odunze missed the practice today, ankle and heel, so we couldn't ask him about his dad today, by the way. Grady Jarrett, he's resting. Josh Blackwell, concussion. Dominique Robinson still with the ankle. DJ Moore did not practice today, hip and groin. There has been a trend now of Ben Johnson being extra cautious with his players early in the week. I expect we would see a bunch of these guys come off the injury report as the week goes on. Luther Burden returned to practice from a concussion. That's huge. Roshan Johnson, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, and Kyle Monungai were all limited. Talked to DeAndre Swift briefly. He said that he will play against the New York Giants. Colston Loveland, named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, walked into the locker room. He was all slimed up. He had that green Nickelodeon slime all over himself because he received the MVP from Nickelodeon as well. Couple more things. A happy birthday to one of our favorite Bears reporters. Caitlin the Sharky had a birthday today. She turned 29 again. It's amazing how that works.
Congratulations to the Butcher. Happy birthday.
Wasn't that a basketball nickname or
Yes.
something, Lawrence? Yeah, I remember you guys talking to her about that. And then finally, so there's a hoop set up in the Bears locker room. The players love it. They're always shooting around there. Gervon Dexter is up there shooting. And I'm just kind of watching from the peripheral, from the back, just kind of observing what's going on. He looks back at me, and he's like, hey, you come over here and shoot these baskets. I'm like, huh? I'm like, me? And he's like, yeah, shoot 5 baskets. And I go, I can't because the media, 30 strong behind me would crush me, right? They'd be like, what are you doing? Yeah, you can't be doing that. And then Gervon goes, you are the media. I go, you're damn right. Give me that ball. And I took one shot with my left hand, and I made that shot.
Yeah!
And I think Gervon Dexter was impressed. I think he was impressed. But I didn't take the 5 shots because I didn't, Mark Potash is not here. He was the media police. He didn't want us taking wings from Jalen Johnson. But I was like, I don't want to do this. I'll get crushed. But Gervon Dexter protected me.
Man, we've been wondering who's going to step into the breach as your new Bears best friend with Tevin Jenkins gone, and maybe Gervon Dexter and you are developing a thing. So.
I never knew. I've definitely talked to him, but that was the first time he, made a playful comment towards me, and I'm like, me? You want me to shoot? I'm just watching you. He's like, no, get up here.
I think in those situations you got to take the shot. Got to take the shot. If they
you
ask
think so,
you,
Lawrence?
100%.
Okay.
If they ask you, you got to take the shot. And if you miss, it allows him to make a little bit of fun of you, which is totally okay considering how much criticizing we do of them. So you got to take the shot. And you make the shot like a Mark Grote, you're a legend.
Right, and then I saw him walking towards the shower room. I go, well, I mean, what'd you think about that? He goes, it was good, but you didn't. He goes, but it did roll around the rim, which is true.
It's true.
So he didn't give me full credit. Yeah.
Hey man, you made the shot though, and that's all that matters.
Great stuff, Grote.
Mark,
that's it, guys.
Mark Buckets Grote.